Hey. All right. Hopefully this will work. Denver's asking to join. Connecting. All right.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, we're back in action.
Okay. How are you, Denver?
I'm I'm good, man. Sorry for technical difficulties,
That's okay.
but I'm okay. I mean, I ran out of White Claw, so that was the bottom of the barrel. Now I'm down to my mom's Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc.
We all
Captain's log day. I have no fucking clue. Things are looking grim.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me. I once went to Oklahoma with you, and one of the weirdest things about it was the beer law about you can't buy cold beer.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to people?
Yeah, they're actually that law just changed, but it used to be that Oklahoma was like the last state where you could widely buy near beer. Like in I think Denmark and Sweden, they call it Volk beer. They have it too, but it's beer that's less than 3.2% alcohol, which means you can drink massive amounts of it and not get drunk. It's a really fun beer, actually. I wrote this pay-in to my love for near beer after they changed the law.
Yeah.
But you could buy beer in Oklahoma at the liquor store. They just couldn't sell it cold.
Right.
What's
the thinking behind that?
Well, I've been thinking about, just the Southern Baptists want to put an extra break between you and your beer so that if you buy it, there's some time for the Spirit of God to intervene before your beer is cold enough. But as a result of the law, I have a theory that Okies are actually like unusually good at cooling down beers. We have like all kinds of tricks for making a beer cold, like to spin it over ice or put it in a wet paper towel and stick it in the freezer. And yeah, so I think that Okies have like just traditional knowledge of how to make a beer really cold. That's going to be lost, of course, now that the law's changed.
Now, Denver, I gotta say, you're frozen here visually now. I don't know why.
Still frozen? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. I can hear you absolutely fine, but you're frozen in a very unflattering position.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't really know what to do about that. Can anyone else who's watching this, is Denver frozen? If anyone can just tell me that'd be helpful. I don't know what we would do about it. Do you have a good connection there?
I can see you fine. I can see myself and my camera moving and you moving.
Someone said nope. Does that mean nope, Denver's not frozen, or nope, he is frozen? My mom also said no. Not frozen. Okay, Denver's not frozen. Good. So I won't be able to record this because it'll look really stupid on my phone. So if anyone who's watching this wants to do a screen recording of this, it would be a huge help to me. Because Denver's a brilliant conversationalist, and I want this recorded.
He's alive! It's alive!
Okay, so, and anyone out there, someone please please do a screen recording of this with audio. It would be a huge, huge help to me because otherwise I won't be able to do it because Denver is frozen on my screen.
Can I do it?
You could do it. Swipe down from the top right, and then hold on. Press the sort of screen record button.
Oh, you probably have an iPhone. I don't fuck with that.
Oh, well, never mind then. Okay. Well, if anyone could do that, because now you're just a blank screen to me. We've got a lot of good friends of mine tuning in who are people who I'm also going to interview in the future. So they're going to want to know how this goes. So, you're sheltering in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
You're one of those people who's moved back in with their parents temporarily.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. So I was living in New Orleans in law school, and but I didn't have internet in my apartment, and they put all of our classes online.
Uh-huh.
So that was like an unusual kind of problem, logistical problem for me suddenly, because I couldn't get somebody over to my apartment to install the internet at that point very easily. Right. And I didn't have internet. So like remote classes were going to be I'm not a huge hassle. So I just packed my shit up and moved back to Oklahoma.
Okay. And
so I'm sheltering here.
Most of my Instagram followers live in New York. I imagine it's very difficult. Very different in Tulsa in terms of what it's like there.
Yeah, I mean, I can, like, compared to.
I lost you again. Oh, damn it. Oh, balls. You can all still hear me, huh? All right. Now, you say you moved to Oklahoma for the internet connection.
Yeah.
However, we seem to be having a lot of problems with that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're sort of like freezing up here and there. But I'm going to ignore whatever video problems and just hope that we still have audio and that you don't get dropped. Okay, can you hear me? There we go. Oh, frozen again.
I can barely hear you now. You're a tiny little voice.
Really?
Oh, there you go. Oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, so you have problems with my Oklahoma story?
No, I was saying you have problems with your internet connection.
Oh, oh, I get it. Yeah, actually, it is a problem. I mean, it's better than no connection, but I here in the wilds of Oklahoma, I've lost my internet connection with my professors a few times. But I mean, I don't know, like I get out and walk around sometimes. It's kind of like living in Tulsa when I was a kid. Like, Tulsa's a lot cooler than it was when I was growing up here. There was fucking nothing going on. There was nothing downtown. And there was like nobody out in the streets. And now there's like all this stuff downtown, bars and restaurants and stuff. But I mean, lately. But now it's like Tulsa 25 years ago. Just empty, desolate downtown with only crazy homeless people. Yeah. The other day I went for a walk downtown and I sat. The other day I went for a walk. I went for a walk downtown and
I sat on a park bench for a while, and then a bus pulled up next to me, and I was just sort of perplexed, kind of waved to the bus driver, and they looked at me like, you gonna fucking get on here? And I realized I was sitting on at a bus stop. It's just like weird post-apocalyptic, like, it's strange times in Oklahoma.
Like, maybe that was like the last bus in Tulsa. And it just
Yeah,
sailed in
right.
circles with nobody on it.
Exactly. I almost got on just for the fuck hell of it. But then I was like, this is probably the Rona headquarters of Tulsa.
That's the epicenter. Is the virus spreading rapidly in Oklahoma and in Tulsa?
It's definitely here. It's not one of the like hot spots, as it were, like New York or New Orleans. And I think they're predicting a peak in late April here. I don't know. I still don't know anybody who has gotten it here. I know, of course, a lot of people in New York and some in New Orleans too who've had an experience with it, but nobody here. We're safe. Although I kind of think I might have had it. Like,
everyone's been saying that.
well, yeah. Like, I mean, depending on the time of year, I wake up feeling pretty horrid on a fairly regular basis, and like, how would I know? I have no way of knowing. If it was the Brew flu.
Yeah. Have you been smoking too much? Is it? Yeah, right. It could be any number of things.
Exactly.
Do you have any sense of what's happening on the Indian reservations there?
There are no Indian reservations in Oklahoma. It's a peculiar. I mean, that's actually a question in this very important Supreme Court case right now. But the idea behind Oklahoma was that it would be one giant Indian reservation. So there's Indian land owned by tribes. Originally, a whole lot of it was owned by different tribes, but under the Dawes Act, their tribes were forced to allot pieces of that land to their tribal members. So there's a very huge Indian population here, but there's very little distinction between. There is no distinction between like normal parts of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the reservation. Right now, I'm in the Creek Nation, which is where I grew up.
Huh.
But I mean, I'm not native, of course.
Right.
Actually, not of course. There are a lot of native people here who look just like me, or whiter, if that's even possible. And I was trying to find good light. I'm so pallid in this light, but I guess it's kind of appropriate, I suppose.
Not many people are getting much sun these days.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about. Is there anything that you've written, whether it's one of your books or an article that you've written, where you've reported or researched something that you felt has, I guess, prepared you for this? Or
prepared me for this?
Or sort of, like, is there anything that you've done that now looking back, you're like, oh, well, that was kind of significant in the current situation? I mean, like you're reporting on government or, I mean, the hot sauce book, probably not.
I mean, in terms of things I've written, not so much, I don't think. There was a time in my life when I got very interested in Zen Buddhism, and I kind of like retreated from life intentionally for quite a long time, for about a year. I didn't really talk to anybody. I just sort of like read and meditated and walked around, and that I learned a lot, in doing that, about how to be still and kind of be with myself and with my thoughts. I think that was good training. Although, I mean, I don't know. I'm going back and forth right now. Like I'll have like really good days, feel fine, productive, go to school, do my homework, maybe have a chat with a friend online.
Yeah.
And then like all weekend long, I just felt like blah.
Right.
I couldn't you know, to get up and go for a walk and just feel like not present, like half awake.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's I just get to feeling really cooped up, or really really kind of like half on when I can't get out and like be in the world, and it lasts for days, you know.
I know exactly what I mean. It's funny because a lot of my friends who are not writers or artists are saying, "Oh, you know, you guys who are painters or who are writers, this must be great. You've got like a long stretch of time where you can do, you know, you can just work." I can't focus on working for very long right now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Too weird and uncanny a situation.
Yeah, same here. That's really interesting. I've written a few things. I wrote one column about the coronavirus thing, and I just sent it to some friends because I feel like I've turned in my gun and my badge for a while as a law student. But mostly I wrote you a song this morning. But other than that,
a song?
Yeah.
Can you play it?
Yeah. You want me to play it now?
Sure. That's amazing.
Okay. It's a ska song.
Perfect.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Run, run, Natty, run from the Rona. Come run with me up to Oklahoma. So I thought until I knew Natty would know just what to do. You stood and fought, you stared it down. Natty, don't give two fucks for this Rona clown. Run, Natty, run from the Rona. But Natty won't run for all the Swedish krona. Natty's the gentlest man of Verona. Most people don't know Natty raised Arizona. He stood and fought, stared it down. Natty don't give two fucks for this Rona clown. Run, run, run from the Rona. Natty's just not that kind of persona. Natty don't mind a little time spent alone. He's less hot but a better writer than Winona. Stood it ground, stood and fought. Natty don't give two fucks for this Rona clown. Stood and fought, stared it down. Natty don't give two fucks for this Rona clown.
That's amazing. Oh my god.
Like it?
I can't believe you wrote that.
I wrote that for you this morning when I was doing my reading for property homework about zoning regulations and eminent domain. And I stopped instead and wrote you a song.
That's more work than I've done this whole time, I think. Like, that's such a good song. That's like...
Oh, good. I'm glad you like it.
That's like better than Adam Sandler at his best.
I don't know how to feel about that. Compliment.
Better than Adam Sandler in his heyday of like rhyming things and being funny.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like rhyming
Thanks.
with Hanukkah. You've done a similar thing with Corona, which is awesome. My favorite is Natty raised Arizona. That's great.
Yeah. Most people don't know Natty raised Arizona.
I'm so honored and flattered by this.
Oh, good. My favorite line is
video of you doing it.
My favorite line is, "He's less hot but a better writer than Winona."
Oh man, you're a genius. Yeah, so if anyone was wondering why I'm interviewing Denver, you now know. That's incredible.
There's gonna be I was gonna call it the Rona rap, but ska just came to me.
Yeah, I think
I went with that.
Perfectly. Oh yeah, thank you. I don't know what to say. I'm so honored.
Oh, good.
Speaking of music, and this is a slightly controversial topic, you are a juggler, correct?
Yes, I am a juggalo.
Okay. People might not know that from just looking at you on an ordinary day. Now, the Insane Clown Posse has had, let's say, difficulties with science in the past. How are they handling this?
You're referring to magnets in particular?
Yeah, magnets in particular.
Earth, fire, wind, and dirt. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
Right. clanging.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
You know, everybody laughed at us, but here's my, Natty, you don't know how magnets work. You're not a scientist. I bet none of the people watching this know how magnets work. I bet there are like 10 people in the world who actually know how magnets work.
Yeah, true. One of them is Donald Trump.
No, actually, Shaggy Two Dope on Instagram the other day posted a video of himself going outside to eat dirt snow, which he claimed is like the cure or the like way to inoculate oneself from the Rona.
Oh my god!
He just
that's
went
amazing.
outside, ate some dirt snow,
Yeah.
and
Not
now he's
very don't
inoculated.
live in like frigid Michigan or something.
Yeah, in Detroit,
You know what I found
which now
out
has
the
a
other
bunch of
day?
Rona cases. So there are definitely juggalos out there with the Rona because it's all up in Detroit, which is the juggalo headquarters.
Right. You know what I found out the other day? So people who aren't familiar with Insane Clown Posse, one of the things they're famous for at their concert is spraying the audience with Faygo soda, which is a cheap brand of soda from the Midwest. I just found out that La Croix, or LaCroix, depending on how you like to pronounce it, is owned by the same people as Faygo.
Really?
So,
LaCroix?
Yeah. So, like, the ultimate yuppie yoga brand of sparkling water is also owned by the people that do the Juggalo thing, you know?
That's beautiful.
It is
Juggalo culture is all about bringing people together. Radical acceptance. Also, Faygo root beer in particular, which is what they spray on you at ICP shows, it's diet root beer so that there's no sugar in it and it's like less sticky. That's like thoughtful, right? That's pretty thoughtful for like Juggalo mosh pit activity. The Faygo root beer won some, I can't, like Cook's Magazine or Bon Appetit or something, declared it like the best root beer in America.
Really?
Yeah, I've never had it. I mean, I've had it on me. I've never like had it in my mouth to drink, but I'm trying to find some, you know?
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean,
apparently it's very good. Yeah.
I'm gonna, next time I see it, I'll try it. Now, what are you? How's your family? How's your brother and sister? Your brother is a Navy, I guess, reserves right now, and he's a student.
Yeah, my brother's in business school in Durham. He was in the Navy, and he's in the reserves technically, but he's like third string in the reserve. Like, there would have to be World War III for him to get called up, basically. Although, I mean, hell, you know, I was just talking to somebody the other day about the IMF, this new IMF report this morning. I guess I'm talking to them this morning about how they foresee the most substantial economic downturn worldwide since the Great Depression, and there's a lot of mainstream thought, a lot of economic thought that the New Deal helped ease the pain of the Depression, and it wasn't until the Second World War that the economies in Europe and the United States started to pull out of that depression, which is sort of an ominous couple of thoughts paired together.
Right. So the thought that maybe it takes a war to get us out of it.
Yeah. I mean, hell, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's very shocking, especially because a war now would be very different than a war of that scale now would be very different from a war then, just in terms of how it would be fought.
Yeah. And my sister's good. She's in medical school, but she's just still in school. She's not like on the front lines or what have you of the Rona fight.
One thing I want to talk about, you and I have both read The Great
Well, wait. Before you move on, how are you doing? How's Sarah?
I'm doing great. Sarah's doing great. She had a very mild case, like the mildest case we heard of. No chest problems at all. She's back to work. Now she's just dealing with like the difficulties that all nurses and doctors are facing all over the world right now. Luckily, Ochsner, the hospital that she works at, is much better prepared than most.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But I want to talk to you because you and I have both read The Great Influenza by John M. Barry, who I found out is a neighbor of ours here in New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah, he lives here in the border. And obviously this is like, that movie Contagion everyone downloaded and watched, and everyone's been reading this book about the 1918 pandemic. You and I had some thoughts about it that we kind of agree. It took him 7 years to write it, I've heard. What were your thoughts on the book, and what did you learn from it in terms of this crisis?
Yeah, I was very excited to read it. You recommended it to me. And I found parts of the book really fascinating. The parts of the book about the flu, which is to say, there are, like we discussed, there are these long sections, particularly the beginning and the end, huge segments of the book devoted to just the kind of life stories of these scientists involved in, I get both epidemiology and, in particular, like viral research into viruses, and medicine related there too, who are like important players, I guess, in the response to the 1918 flu. But it was just, frankly, those sections I found really, really tedious and super boring. And they took us out of the narrative of the flu itself, which was fascinating and holds a lot of lessons for today. It is uncanny the way that the administration of Washington right now just like repeatedly refused to acknowledge the reality of this, and sort of told the experts, crying, yelling fire in a crowded theater, as it were, that they were disinterested in their plans and just being far more concerned about keeping the economy going than protecting the economy in the long term. I don't think it's not much of a question at this point that the economic pain that we will suffer for the next year and years is a direct result of the Trump administration's refusal to get on top of this and roll out testing faster, do all the things that they might have done to better prepare for a pandemic and make it shorter and less painful that they didn't do, which are things that, the federal government was less powerful in those days, but things that the governments in charge, the state governments and mayors also did. Like there's the dichotomy between, I think it was Pittsburgh and St. Louis, and St. Louis followed the advice of advisors and instituted a lockdown. Philadelphia went ahead with this big parade that they were going to have to raise war bonds, which of course caused Philadelphia to have a much worse outbreak. Yeah. One other sidebar, I'm coughing right now. Is it like the thing that's weird about the age of Rona? Like I just cough sometimes. I just do. Like sometimes it's a cigarette cough. Sometimes I just kind of need to clear my lungs.
Sure.
But now it's like this. I don't know how I'm going to operate in the world when it comes back.
Yeah.
I can't cough. You can't cough. You get fucking beaten up and thrown off the bus. I don't ride the bus, but you know what I mean. If I rode the bus, I would cough and get beaten up and thrown off.
Right. Well, even a lot of people, I have seasonal allergies, and a lot of people I know who have them say that when they sneeze now, everyone sort of freaks out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. I just developed seasonal allergies for the first time this year. Worst time ever. When I got to Tulsa, I thought I had the Rona for sure. I was in deep quarantine away from everybody because I just was sure I had it. Turns out I just drove through a bunch of pine forest to get here, and then I've been away from Oklahoma for too long, so I've lost my, I guess, allergy immunity or what have you. Yeah. But I thought I had it for sure. I've been having horrible allergies back here in Oklahoma, and you're like a pariah. Right. It's better to be a juggalo than a person who coughs or sneezes. And I'm both.
Yeah. I going back though a second to the thing
Yeah.
about Philadelphia and St. Louis in the 1918 pandemic. A lot of people have been talking about Mardi Gras and the fact that New Orleans had another fantastic Mardi Gras, and that might have been a vector for transmitting the disease. And now it seems like the city government might have. There's a trove of emails, and some people said they should have known better, or something like that. What's your opinion about all the Mardi Gras shaming?
I remember seeing that story. It was, when Mardi Gras was held, there was not a single confirmed case of coronavirus in New Orleans, and nobody, if Washington had been taking it more seriously then and raising alarm bells, then, maybe, I guess that might be a reasonable thing to say. Just at the time, if she had canceled Mardi Gras, it would have been insane. That's the most, in New Orleans, that's like the most severe choice you can make as a leader of the city, to cancel Mardi Gras. Culturally, it's like hugely important touchstone for locals in New Orleans. It's not just a tourist thing, of course. It's also this huge economic driver. And, it was the tone of the entire world at the time. It's unthinkable that she would have canceled Mardi Gras then. I don't blame the mayor for that at all.
Agreed. Do you think when this is, I guess, or maybe, well, you sort of talked about earlier, what will this be like when it's over in terms of human interaction? We live in New Orleans, which is such a city of people being friendly to strangers, touching each other, hugging, high-fiving, toasting one another on the street. What do you think it'll do? Do you think people are going to do you think people will keep their distance, or do you think people are going to be like fucking in the streets because they're so stoked?
I think probably the latter mostly. People don't give a fuck, everybody's always out there doing stuff anyway. And I think most people are, at least, most of the population feels like they're not super vulnerable to coronavirus, and they're social distancing out of a sense of social solidarity, which has been really cool to see. Like, I'm pretty proud of us as a species on the planet, and as Americans, I gotta say, for stepping up and social distancing in the absence of leadership from Washington. And I think that when it's over, people will, they'll be, everybody, be out there fucking making out and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I think.
Except for people, except if you cough sometimes, like me, you will be a pariah for the next decade. I already was kind of, it's already a little bit like you're suspect if you just have a cough because you're sick, or you're a smoker, which is also scarlet letter in the year 2020. Now it's going to be like you have the Rona.
Right.
And a smoker and all the other I'm not leaving. I'm done. I'm checking out of social life forever. Only Instagram live conversations, but the rest of the city will get back to normal life. Right. I think.
Get back to business as usual.
Yeah.
What are your sort of, in terms of outcomes and after this, apart from having a Democrat in the White House, and what hopes do you have for how this might change things?
Man, interesting question. And
what fears?
Yeah, my biggest fears have to do with looking for answers to this, answers to how to address the pandemic that look to surveillance and the surveillance state without taking the time to put in place privacy protections. I think that privacy is very easily dismissed by people because they don't value it, because they don't understand that it is the foundation of all of the other freedoms. All freedoms ultimately are the right to privacy, which is to say the right to be left alone. And a lot of people just don't think about their freedoms in that way.
And
And I'm afraid that
that's something you wrote about in your first book about
Yeah.
humanity. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, privacy has been under assault worldwide for many years now, for decades now. We have not put in place, I mean, the law has been sort of catching up, the common law has been catching up in its own way, but there just haven't been the protections put in place that I think would make the world a better place, make our lives better, make the economy run more smoothly. And I'm afraid that in response to the coronavirus pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, we won't take the time to institute privacy protections that we really should. My hope is that, I mean, in a kind of like touchy-feely way, you know, with the times that I have gone out into the world, like gone to the store, or gone to the post office one time, just out in the world, like it seems like people are just a lot nicer and giving people like it feels to me like there is widespread throughout the population just kind of a sense, it feels like a very deep innate human response to a crisis situation where we all kind of understand, okay, there's something happening, shit is weird, we are a group, we have to get along well right now, and are just kind of cutting each other some slack, you know? People are just, they seem to be more patient to me, and not like effusively nice, but just kind of more pleasant and patient, I would say, which I think probably comes, I was just like, it seems to me like something that comes from like, you know, back in the day when we were groups of 30 people on the African savannah and, you know, a famine would strike or a plague would come through or some, you know, crisis situation would happen and everybody just knows as a matter of survival, we got to get along, which has been kind of cool to see. And I hope that will, you know, I hope that we can keep that spirit going for as long as possible.
Well, it's interesting because it seems like this is a lot of people are suddenly having to come to terms with the fragility of a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we took for granted, people are realizing that it's not, we can't afford to take it for granted.
Right.
You know, whether it's our medical system or our food supply lines or anything like that.
And each other. I mean,
and each other.
At its core, what's happening here, if you know, some people are getting, are coming sick with COVID-19, of course, but for the vast majority of people, this is not an experience of getting sick with the plague or with COVID-19. It's an experience of not being able to be around other people.
Right.
That's what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
And the impact on the economy is felt and, but you know, we haven't really felt that impact yet, I don't think. Like,
it's too late to make up.
There are projections out there, and people are starting to.
Sorry.
In some ways, but most cities have imposed eviction, pauses on evictions and that sort of thing. So I don't think that there are a lot of people, other than people living on, truly on the margins, who don't. The homeless population, for example, definitely has felt this, I'm sure, but felt the economic pain for sure. But for the most part, the pain that people are feeling and we're talking about is just the pain of not being able to be around each other. And, the like running joke on social media is always like, meme of like somebody eating pizza in bed or whatever. Like, oh, I don't go out anymore. Like Camus' quote, "Hell is other people." That idea, and at its core, what's happening here is we're forced to confront the cold hard fact that we fucking love other people. And we need to be around them, and to not be allowed to, we feel really cut off and, feel all of the, ways that people are feeling right now.
That's really, it's nice because I think what you're saying to me, it's a positive message and it's a hopeful one, but it doesn't come off like a sort of hippie platitude of the sort that I can't stand. It's not.
Oh, good. I was afraid that you were going to just cut. I was afraid you were going to just close this down. Like, God damn it, go fucking pet a crystal, Denver.
Well, I knew you'd be disappointed that they canceled Burning Man. But,
I'm sure they will.
They did.
They did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about going this year too, but I'm not surprised that they did. Of course, it's going to make it that much harder to go next year.
But I do like your. I mean, that's one of the most optimistic things I've ever heard, or at least hopeful things I've ever heard about this idea that people realizing how much we need each other, just on a not on a material basis, but on just a personal basis, on a sort of sanity and social basis. Do you have any post-COVID resolutions? Ways that you want to change?
Man, I was thinking about that the other day because I was kind of reflecting on how I have not been exercising all the time. I don't have I don't have some new badass yoga pose that I've mastered in the privacy of my home. I mostly just watch TV and read and drink and talk to people on Zoom, and study, of course.
Right.
Cool. So I haven't I'm not at the current at the current pace. I'm not going to emerge from quarantine a vastly better human, which is slightly upsetting and disappointing.
I think that's like most people, but I mean, in terms of your mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I will, but I think that I'll just be more direct about connecting with people. I can be pretty reserved and afraid to connect. And I think I'll just be more direct about that. Also, I'm isolating, unlike some of us, Natty, alone. So I'll probably be more direct with the women in my life about connecting.
Right. Yeah. Well, I will remind you, Sarah is a nurse, and we have been sleeping in separate beds.
So you
3
so
weeks.
you have. Okay, all right. So you're like the rest of us. You're just living that bachelor life, except you're not really living the bachelor life.
I'm like a war bride. No, I'm
yeah.
It's my job to make sure that she's got, a hot meal and a cold drink when she gets home.
Right, and thank you for that, for the work you're doing. Seriously.
I mean, it's the least I can do. It's keeping her happy and sane with everything that she has to do. But I was wondering if what it will mean for. Do you think there's going to be a baby boom after this? Or a divorce boom?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe both. I don't know. I mean, because I'm quarantined solo out here. You're quarantined with a nurse, so we don't really have any anecdotal evidence of how people are operating in couples in the normal quarantine situation.
Really look like
I wonder if there will be a lot of kids named Rona.
Oh God. Oh man.
I think it's kind of a cool name.
I think Americans would do.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
This is Rona, or what about Ronnie?
82 degrees.
Is that going to go the way of the buffalo, or more? Are there going to be a bunch of kids born 9 months from now named Ronnie?
So sad.
Yeah.
Is there anybody named Ronnie anymore, or Ron? That's kind of an old school name, I guess.
I would think because there was a Harry Potter character named Ron, so maybe there was a boom after that.
Ronald.
Because I think we're going to get cut off soon. But before we go, I wanted to just share a little bit about what's happening here in New Orleans. In my personal experience, Manolito is giving out. We're not giving out. They're selling half-gallon jugs of daiquiris to go. And I went to the waterfront the other day and met two young women on bicycles who stood far apart from me, and we talked. And they talked. They worried about the height of the river, and it felt kind of normal. We talked about. They opened the spillway last week, and then one of them said last time they were there, they saw a beaver in the Mississippi, and then she said it was the biggest, oldest, most fucked up beaver she'd ever seen. So we instantly had dirty jokes to tell. It was a very New Orleans moment.
That's outstanding. I love that. Yeah, I gotta say, there is something pretty cool about just hitting pause. I'm sure we won't be able to sort out doing this as a species after this, but it sure would be neat if we could, all around the world, just declare a global 1 week holiday to just chill for a minute.
I know. I was thinking about it. Wouldn't it be great if everywhere in the world, you said, okay, well, everyone gets, the month of June off.
Yeah.
And the government will just give you, $3,000 for that month.
Yeah. But you can't spend it because you can't buy anything unless it's from a robot.
Right. Unfortunately, See, maybe this Andrew Yang was clearly right all along.
Oh yeah, the Revenge of Andrew Yang, man, and Milton Friedman.
Yeah.
It's his idea originally.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, I think we're almost up with our hour. Anything else to add? I'm sorry we had all those technical difficulties.
Oh no, it's okay, man. I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad we got it going.
Yeah. Oh, my friend says academia. My friend Gwendolyn, who I'll hopefully interviewing next week, she points out academia does have a certain part of the year off, which is nice.
Oh. I see. I thought that does raise. I mean, I'm a student again right now, so I've been following really closely news about what universities are going to do. I'm pretty sure at this point, it looks like Tulane's going to be closed next fall. That's my guess based on everything I'm reading. Or not closed, but classes will be remote. Boston University is already openly planning for that, and it's kind of it's impossible to conceive of that happening in a way. Yeah, especially for first year.
I might as well have gone to the University of Phoenix.
Right. We all have this running joke now, the online law degree I'm getting, as a student at Zoom University. Right. We're all students at Zoom University now.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how academia is affected by all this, but anyhow, vamos a ver.
That's something I'll be talking to a professor or two, so that's something I think hopefully I get to cover. I've really been enjoying this kind of thing so far, and I'm glad that we can share it. If we didn't have someone I interviewed the other day said they've spent the past 4 years wondering if the internet was the worst thing that ever happened to anyone, and the past 3 weeks has completely turned them around.
Yeah, it's been, gosh, it sure beats the hell out of just sitting in your house while everyone dies around you, in the 1918 pandemic. At least we have
looking at printed pornography.
I know, my God. Doesn't move, and not that much of it because of not the Volstead Act. What was this Margaret Sanger got in trouble over it? Anyway, fucking prudes. Pornography had a really low ebb there for a while around the same time, which is a really unfortunate confluence of events. I did want to show you my quarantine wear. This is called a jalaba, a North African garment. It's the ultimate in loungewear. Also available on the planet of Tatooine, or maybe Tatooine's a moon.
Right.
You can see. It's the best thing ever. I live in this thing. I lived in this when I was living in Morocco, and in quarantine situation, when I was in Morocco, I was just like living in this guest house writing my most recent book.
Recorded.
And I just lived in this thing, and here in quarantine, it was kind of like, man, I need to bring out that Jalaba again, because it's the ultimate loungewear. You're warm, but you keep cool. You have a hood. It's a neck thing. It's real comfortable.
It's like a Snuggie, but better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. It's the original, the OG Snuggie, and it's fashionable. I mean, come on.
OG Snuggie sounds like a rapper's name.
That does, doesn't it? Tell me OG.
All right, Denver. Thanks for the chat. Talk to you soon, brother.
Be good, man. Talk soon. Let's do this again soon. Have me back on your show. Write you another song or so. How do I get back on the show? What do you have to do? Do you have to bribe?
That theme song's pretty amazing.
Okay.
If you could record like a video of you doing that theme song, I would be forever indebted to you.
Will you have me back on if I record it?
Absolutely.
All right. You all heard that here. That's a contract.
In fact,
I learned that last semester.
Because we've had these technical difficulties, I might have you back sooner, just so we could do this again with better video and stuff. Because I don't know whether we're going to get this saved and uploaded, but I'll see.
Okay, dealio. Sounds good, man.
All right, dude. Talk to you later.